Hi everyone, this is Lana from Lana Under Pressure, and in this video I'm going to compare and review the Instant Pot Air Fryer Crisplid and the Mealthy Crisplid. So the great thing about these air fryer lids is that they actually turn your Instant Pot or your electric pressure cooker into air fryers. So you don't need to buy a whole other appliance, so it's really great. Now, if you've seen my videos, you know that most of my reviews, all of my reviews have been Instant Pot brand. I love them. I highly recommend them. If you don't have an Instant Pot or an air fryer, toaster oven, go out and get one. I have 4 Instant Pots. I have 3 of the toaster ovens. I think they're fantastic. But the reason that I'm cheating a little bit on my brand, and I wanted to review the Mealthy as well, is because I have a good friend, and she has the Mealthy Crisplid, and when I see her post, there's certain things that I like about them, and I'll go into detail later about it, that really drew me to it. So I said, you know, I'm going to go ahead and do a comparison. Let's see if they hold out. Let's see if it holds up to my favorite brand, Instant Pot, and we're going to go ahead and do that right now. So right off the bat, you can, just by looking at them, see a big difference between the 2 air fryer lids. Now the Mealthy is 4 3/4 inches tall and weighs 3 pounds. The Instant Pot is 6 inches tall and weighs 6 pounds. Now those may not seem like a big difference, but when you're thinking about where you're going to store them and also taking them on and off your Instant Pot, it is a pretty big difference, especially in the weight. So for me, the Mealthy, taking it on and off the Instant Pot is pretty easy to do. You know, it weighs about the same, maybe a little bit more than just the standard lid. So, you know, when this is really hot, I find it very easy to take it on and off. Now, the Instant Pot air fryer lid weighing 6 pounds is pretty heavy to do, especially with one hand. And when it's really hot and you're trying to flip food and you're trying to put it back on and off the Instant Pot, I find that to be a little bit hard. So you really need to think about that as well. If you're somebody who can't carry a lot of weight or heavy things like that with one hand is an issue for you, the Mealthy might be a better bet. Now, there's also a difference in the watts. So the Mealthy is 1,000 watts and the Instant Pot is 1,500. There's also a difference in the display and how they look. The Mealthy is very simple. It just has 6 buttons and a small digital display, just the standard buttons that we'll go over on how to use that later, but it's pretty simple on top. Also, you can tell, and now this is what really got me and why I really wanted to try the Mealthy, is that you can see that it has a see-through lid. So when you put this on top of the Instant Pot or your electric pressure cooker, you can actually see the food down there without having to lift it off and check it. Now, the Instant Pot air fryer lid has, which you might really like, and something that I like, is that it has the display kind of like what you would find on some of your Instant Pots. It has the presets, so if you really like presets, it has those standard presets, and it has the same kind of look and display. So it's pretty easy, if you know how to use an Instant Pot, to use the air fryer lid. Now, that said, you can tell that it does not have a see-through lid. And so if you're trying to check food, the only way to do that, to check if the food is done or if you need to flip it, is to actually pause it and take it off. Now, another thing I wanted to take a look at is how they plug in. So they both air fryer lids have the 3-prong plugs, but you notice on the Instant Pot one, it has this kind of like rectangular attachment. Now, I love this, and I really wish the Mealthy had this, and this is why. So whenever you're using any of the air Crisplids, regardless of what brand you have, you cannot have your Instant Pot or your electric pressure cooker plugged in while you're using these. It needs to be completely unplugged, not just turned off, but completely unplugged, and that's a big safety issue. So if you're like me, and you know, let's say you're cooking in your Instant Pot, whatever you're cooking, and then you want to go ahead and use the air fryer lid, you have to remember to unplug it, and I'm terrible at that, and I have like a little sticky note sometimes to try to remind myself. Well, what the Instant Pot company did, which I think is absolutely genius and something I really like about that, is it has this little plate. So when you plug this into your wall, you can't have anything else plugged in with it. And so it forces you almost to unplug your Instant Pot or unplug your electric pressure cooker. And it's great. And I've already used this and done that where I've gone to plug it in and realized, it kind of stopped me and said, oh right, I have to unplug it. Where if I didn't have this on there, I probably would have forgotten. Now the Mealthy does not have that. So you're gonna have to remember, and it's really important, to unplug it yourself. And so that is a big difference, and that's something that I really like about the Instant Pot one versus the Mealthy. So moving on to the accessories that it comes with, one of the things that I want to really look at is each one of these come with kind of like a pad that you need to place them on. So when you're cooking with either one of the air fryer lids, regardless of what brand, they get really, really hot on the bottom. And so whenever you're taking it off to flip food or taking it off when you're done, you can't place it directly on the counter or on anything like that. You need to place it on the mat or the pads that it comes with. So the Mealthy comes with a regular kind of silicone sort of heat-proof pad, and it's exactly the size, and it just, you know, just like anyone, you just will fit it right on top of that. One thing I don't like is that it's almost exactly the size, and so sometimes, you know, when I'm trying to do it quickly, I kind of don't put it right on top of it. You kind of have to line it up. But it's just a regular silicone mat, and, you know, it works fine. It comes with it. The Instant Pot one, I really like this one, and if you'll notice, so when I lift it up, the pad actually attaches to the bottom. So this is the heat-proof pad that comes with it, and it's pretty sturdy, and you know, you just sit it right on top while you're cooking, while you're flipping food or turning it off, but it also can clip into place really easy, so you can store it and you always have it there. Now, in order to cook food with these, they come with two different baskets, just like an air fryer would. Now the Mealthy, what that one comes with, the two accessories it comes with is this trivet, and it's just a standard high-sided trivet. And then it comes with this standard looking air fryer basket. And so it doesn't have a non-stick coating, so you can spray it with Pam in order to get things not to stick. And that would just fit, so you would put this inside your liner, and you put this right on top, and that's how you would fry with that basket. And I like it. It has two little handles. Great. And this fits in a 6-quart and in an 8-quart. Now, the Instant Pot one comes with this style basket, which is a non-stick coated basket. So if you don't like non-stick coating, that's something that you might want to think about. It has this little base that you would put down inside the liner, and then you would go ahead and put your basket, and that clips right into it. Now, one thing is, this basket that comes with the Instant Pot is deeper because it allows you to cook in 2 levels. And the way you would do that is you would go ahead, it comes with this accessory, which is like a broiler plate, or I don't know what they call it. But this fits right inside, and it sits on the ledge there, so you can actually have food cooking on 2 different levels. So if you like that double layer of cooking, this is really great, whereas with the Mealthy, with what it comes with, you can't really do that. Now, one thing I did notice that I didn't like about this double plate is that it's very hard when you're cooking to then take it out and flip whatever you have to flip on the bottom and then place it back in. You have to use like a fork or a knife or something. It's not really easy to do. So I can only imagine if it's really hot, how that would be. Now, an extra little accessory that the Mealthy Crisplid comes with is it brings a pair of tongs, and they're smaller tongs to make it easier to, you know, move things around and stuff like that, which, you know, if you have tongs, then you probably wouldn't care whether it came with it or not. But it's another little accessory that the Mealthy has where the Instant Pot doesn't. So let's take a second to check out the manuals that each one of these comes with. Now, if you have an Instant Pot or any Instant Pot brand, you will know, and it's one of the things, the downfalls that I wish they would change, they really don't come with great manuals. For whatever reason, they don't like making a manual. So the manual, just like with all of their other things, the manual that comes with this air fryer lid, they have the standard kind of manual that'll tell you, you know, just the accessories, kind of the basics on how to use it, the ranges and time and temperatures of each one of the buttons, but that's about it. It's very similar to the kind of manual that you get with the Instant Pot, not too much. It also has, you know, the safety manual that has the standard type of things. Now, you can always go online, and with any of their Instant Pot products, you can always go online and get a more detailed manual, and you know, more detailed because it has more stuff, but just like with the rest of their stuff, it is lacking in the information, which is really why I've made all these tutorials for the Instant Pot. Now the Mealthy actually comes with a pretty good manual. I've gone through it. It has a great user's guide. It kind of answers most of your questions. It also has a recipe booklet. Now, with Instant Pot, they have tons of recipes online. Other people do it. But it's kind of nice that this one comes with an actual recipe manual or booklet. Now, the most important thing you need to think about when deciding whether you're going to choose the Mealthy or the Instant Pot air fryer lid is which Instant Pot or electric pressure cooker you have. And that is so important. Now, with the Mealthy, the way it's constructed and the way they have the lid, this fits on any model of an Instant Pot. Any model, and the 6 or the 8 quart. So the way it works, you would just sit it on and it sits right in the line, right on the edge of the liner. And I have 4 different Instant Pots, and this will work with every single one of them. Now, the Instant Pot brand only works with Instant Pot pressure cookers. It only works with the 6 quart. This one is the 6 quart, so it'll only work with 6 quarts. It won't work with the 8 quart. It won't fit. And it also only works with certain models of Instant Pots. So I'll go ahead and put in the description below a link to details on exactly which ones this will fit. But if you currently have one Instant Pot, you need to make sure that this will fit that model, because if it doesn't fit or if it doesn't work with it, you can't use it. Because in order for this to turn on, it has to fit correctly. You can't just sit it on top of it and turn it on. So for example, this is again my Max. This one, the Instant Pot, does not fit on it. And even though it fits, it looks like it fits because it doesn't engage, and it isn't made for this model, and it doesn't gauge well, it won't turn on. So I can't use this with my Max. I have, like I said before, I have 4 Instant Pots, and actually, before I got these, I only had 3 Instant Pots. In order to test this out, I had to go out and buy another one that actually worked with it, because the 3 that I had wouldn't work with it. I had the Smart, I had an 8 quart, and I had the Max, and neither of those worked with this one. So I had to go out and buy a Duo just so that I can use it. And so you need to take that into consideration. So you need to look down at the list and make sure it works with it, or else you're going to end up having to buy either another Instant Pot or switch to a different lid. So now I'm going to go ahead and do a side-by-side comparison of how each of these cook. And what I like to use as a comparison for the first time to see how my air fryers cook is I like using corn dogs. And the reason I do that and not French fries or chicken wings is because, you know, corn dogs, one, my kids love them, so I know they'll get eaten. But also because with the air fryers, it's important that they not only crisp or cook or brown the outside, but you want it to also be soft on the inside, but also you want the hot dog part to be cooked completely through. And so it's really important, and also it's a good test on how an air fryer does when you're cooking something from frozen. So these are frozen, and so I like to use these to test them out. And so what I went ahead and did is I wrote IP, this is the one we'll put in the Instant Pot brand, and the one with the M, we're going to put in the Mealthy, and we'll go ahead and cook them for the same exact time, the same exact temperature, and then I'll go ahead and review which one came out better and also how I liked how each of them cooked. So now let's go ahead and cook. So we're going to start with the Instant Pot air fryer lid, and the way we're going to set it up is I have my Duo here, and I have the liner in, and now again you got to remember this should not be plugged in, so I don't even plug in the removable plug or whatever. I don't even plug that in. So that way you remember not to plug it in. So we're going to go ahead and take the base for the basket, and we're going to take the basket it comes with, and that just fits right in there. And so now, because we're going to cook this air fry, and we only have one, I want it sitting up as high as I can. So I'm going to go ahead and put that broiler plate right inside, and I'm going to stick this whole thing right into the liner. Now I'm going to take the corn dog and sit that on top. And like I said before, this one is a little narrower, so it just barely fits. I don't think you could get 2 in there though. That's an issue. You probably can only do 1 on one level. So now we have our air fry lid plugged in, and we're going to go ahead and place it on. And you know that it fits when it makes that noise. And now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna choose air fry mode. And now, again, you have all of these different presets. And once we're done cooking, I'll go over those a little bit more, but for you, what you need to know is that the only difference between the air fryer presets is the fan works the same, the heating element works the same, they all work the same. The only difference is they have different temperature ranges. So that's something that you need to take into consideration. So if we're going to do these on 350, you need to know which of these settings will go on to 350. They also have different time ranges. So just like the Instant Pot, it all does the same thing, just different ranges. Now to set up our Instant Pot using the Mealthy, again, we're gonna make sure our liner is in, we're gonna make sure our Instant Pot is not plugged in. And on this one, you're gonna go ahead and place the trivet inside, and we're gonna place the corn dog in the basket. And as you see, it has plenty of room, like you could probably fit 2 or 3 in there. We're only gonna do 1. We're gonna place that right on top of the trivet, and then place our lid on top. And now for this to start, this handle needs to be down. So that's what engages it to start. And this doesn't have any presets, so we're just gonna set the time and the temperature we want, and we're gonna go ahead and press start. Now notice that the Instant Pot air fryer lid has a cool down and a preheat setting, so that's why it's not quite done at the same time. You have to take that into account then when you're putting in the time and temperature, because it actually adds time. And here, I don't really like the cool down setting, so I just turned it off. So now we have our 2 corn dogs. This one over here cooked in the Instant Pot, this one over here cooked in the Mealthy air fryer Crisplid. And first I'm going to check the internal temperature on both. So let's start with the Instant Pot one. And this has an internal temperature of 198, which might be a little overcooked. And the one in the Mealthy is 189. So I mean, they both cooked completely all the way through. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut into it. So if I compare the two, let's see. I mean, they're both done on the inside, crispy on the outside. I mean, they're pretty much the same. I think that they cooked pretty much the same. I will say that because this has a little bit more wattage to it, and also because it does a preheat setting and then a cool down, I do think the outside of this is a little, just the tiniest bit, a little bit more crispy. But just, you know, if you wanted it crispier, you could probably just add a few more minutes onto this one. But as far as how they cooked in the air fryer, I think they're both comparable. So now that we've gone and done a cooking test with each of them, I just want to give you my kind of overall reviews once I've cooked with them. So starting with the Mealthy, what I really liked about it, and I think would be a really big selling point as far as if I was going to choose one, is the fact that this has the see-through lid. And for me, it was one of the things that I don't like about the standard air fryer baskets is you can't see what's going on inside, so you really have to trust that your recipe is a really good one and that the timing is right, or else you have to keep opening and closing it, you know, to check on your food. That said, the Instant Pot air fryer Crisplid, I really liked the fact that it told you when to turn the food. So about halfway through, at 9 minutes, it had a little display that told me to go ahead and turn the food. And so I kind of knew to open it and turn it, whereas the Mealthy doesn't do that. So if you're going to turn your food, you have to set an alarm, or you have to remember to do that yourself. And so for me, who's really busy, I can see how I might forget doing that. I don't know what happens, and that might be another test, is what happens if you don't flip the food. Will it cook it the same? But I did set it. Now, one thing with the Instant Pot oven, air fryer ovens, they do tell you to turn your food, but they'll do it 3/4 of the way through. Whereas the air fryer lid tells you halfway. Now, I found that I prefer flipping it a little bit later than halfway, only because it cooks, you know, the air fryer cooks all the way around. So really halfway, I think, is a little too early. So on this one, you know, because it tells you to turn the food halfway, if you don't want to do that, you can just let it keep cooking and then turn it a little later. But I did like that it had that function, and it did display that. Another thing I noticed with the difference between the two is the Instant Pot air fryer Crisplid has a preheat mode. So when you put it on and you press start, it actually will preheat. Whereas the Mealthy Crisplid doesn't have a preheat mode, it just starts cooking. So if you set it for 18 minutes, it's gonna cook exactly those 18 minutes. Where the Crisplid from Instant Pot has a preheat mode, and that preheat mode seems to be 1 minute and 15 seconds thereabout. So it's not very long, but it will add time to your cooking. It also has a cool down mode, which was taking kind of long, so I personally turn it off. I didn't wait for it to cool down because, you know, if I have a recipe for cooking for 18 minutes, that's the exact time that I want it to cook for, so I don't want it to keep cooking after that. Another thing that is different between the two is the Mealthy, you'll notice, counts down by seconds. So you'll set it for minutes. You can't set it for seconds. You set it for minutes, but it will count down by seconds, and it'll tell you. The Instant Pot Crisplid doesn't count down by seconds until you get to the last minute. So, you know, if you're trying to do a precise comparison, or if you're trying to do a precise recipe where seconds count, which I don't know if there's any recipes that cook in seconds, but it kind of is helpful because you know exactly the time, whereas the Instant Pot is kind of a roundabout because it's not telling you by seconds, it's counting down by minutes. One thing that I liked about the Instant Pot Crisplid is that when I went ahead and took this off, so when it was time to turn the food and I went ahead and removed the lid and put it on its base and I turned the food, when I put the lid back on, it started right away. So it pauses and it starts right away, right where you left off. I didn't have to remember to press the start button or anything like that. The Mealthy, when you take it off, it stops cooking. So this handle is actually what makes it start and stop cooking. So the minute you put the handle up to lift it off, it pauses. And I like the fact that it paused, and then the minute I started it again, it started right where I left off. However, you have to remember to press the start button, or else it looks like it starts, but it hasn't started. So you do have to remember to press the start button. And that's gotten me a few times because I assumed that it would automatically start, and it didn't, and I had to remember. So remember, if you choose the Mealthy, that you do have to press the start button. Now, as far as cooking with the two different baskets, I did find that the Mealthy basket was much easier when it came to turning the food. It gave me much more space, and it almost went to the edge of the 6-quart liner. So it fit perfectly in there, and it gave me more room to turn the food. Whereas the Instant Pot air fryer basket, the one that came with that, because it's deeper, which is great, but you know, turning the food, I felt that it was a little cumbersome because it's just a smaller space in there to work in. And I can see if you're working on multiple layers, because that broiler tray doesn't have a handle, I guess you would have to try and use a fork or something to, you know, take that off and go ahead and flip the food underneath. So that can be a little cumbersome, and so I did prefer the basket style that came with the Mealthy to the one that came with the Instant Pot. So those are the pros and cons, and that's the review on the Instant Pot Air Fryer Crisplid and the Mealthy Crisplid. Now, which one would I choose if I could only choose one? Even though my heart will always belong to Instant Pot, I think I would end up choosing the Mealthy Crisplid. And that's because I do really, really like that see-through lid. I like the basket, and I also like the fact that it will cook with all of the different Instant Pots and electric pressure cookers, and also the different sizes. Also, just the weight and handling it, taking it on and off, this one definitely by far was much better. Now that said, they both cooked great. They cooked exactly the same. I found I've done also fries and different things with it. I've done pork chops. I think that they're very comparable. The Instant Pot actually has a little bit more power, and so it cooks a little bit faster, just a tad, but they both do a really, really great job. So really, either one that you choose, I think that you're really gonna love it. Thanks so much for watching my video. All of the information I'll put in the description below. Thanks. Bye.